Hey everybody, I am sitting in Maryland on the way back down home from our little trip. I did a hour-long Webbot synopsis, if you will, and the video got corrupted, couldn't play it all, so I had to delete it. So I tried again a second time, about 25-30 minutes long, and it had a problem. Incredible. So rather than read the pages like I do sometimes, I just took down specific little excerpts from it, little few words, 2 or 3 words, to refresh my memory as I talk about this. But I'm gonna rattle these off, and it's not necessarily in the particular order that the Webbot was written in, not that that matters, but just so you know. Anyway, so the latest Webbot report came out, I believe it was July 1st, and Cliff was nice enough to give it to me the night before, actually for free. I was just asking him if I could have a copy that night before I went on vacation. I'd gladly pay, of course, and he just gave it to me. So that was really nice. So gold and silver is still going up. There is language that they're going to try to stop people from owning it any way they can. Well, not necessarily any way they can, but there's going to be things in place. And I think the prime example of just one of those things was the recent Forex thing where they said on July 15th you can't trade gold and silver anymore on their platform. It'll be little things like that. There was no word of confiscation of silver or gold or anything like that. There was a word of confiscation of something. It was like the sentence after that, but it had nothing to do actually with gold and silver, and it was something else. I forgot what the heck it was talking about. But if you read it, you're like, oh, they're talking about gold and silver confiscation. But then it says right there at the end of it, it's not that. So don't worry about that. So gold and silver doesn't matter. They're going up in price. The seasons will be merging, and will seem like there's only summer and winter. It'll go from a brutal winter this year, and again, when I say this winter or this year, the Webbot is not perfect. Sometimes it gets that year wrong. Maybe it's next year, maybe it's the winter after this one. Then again, it might be spot on, because many times it is spot on. Other times it's not, and the dates or time period per se, not necessarily the exact dates, but the time periods it gives may be off. And I've proven several times now on hits that came out and they should have been over a year ago or whatever, and then a year plus later, boom, perfect hit. I mean, spot on something that was kind of a ridiculous description, but it was such a description that you knew when it came, that was it. And there's been a few things in the past in which that happened. I did videos on them too. So I'm just going to throw that out there. When you hear people talk about the Webbot, oh, this summer this or this winter that, take it with a grain of salt as far as the time is concerned. Don't take with a grain of salt what it says is going to be happening, because it appears that the events are still on like Donkey Kong. It's just that the dates may not be quite when they thought. So that's why I'm just giving you this little disclaimer, because I've seen it now happen many times in the last several years of me following this thing, and at the same time I've seen it happen spot on, unbelievably spot on, within the time frame it said, to look for. The heck we got flying around over here? Got the feds flying over me or what? Just kidding. There's a lot of military activity and helicopters. There's an Air Force base right here. So basically summer and winter, they're gonna merge. Or not merge, you're gonna see summer and then like winter. There's not really gonna be a spring and kind of not a fall, maybe a tiny bit, and then that's it. Which, as you can imagine, those are perfect growing seasons. Spring and then fall, you can also grow food, of course, and it's gonna create some problems for us. There's gonna be, of course, more earthquakes, more volcanoes, more flooding. It's not gonna get any better anytime soon. As a matter of fact, it's going to get worse. It's claiming a brutal winter in 2011, 2012, which will lead to crop failures, of course, and more flooding, plus the winter going into summer without a normal spring, which I just mentioned. Also, regarding that summer and winter thing only, where only 2 seasons appear to be going back and forth, it did note mostly for the southern hemisphere of the world. So keep that in mind. Let's see. The powers that be will be killing off some bankster minions, or some kind of minions that we will recognize. We may not recognize that they got killed off by them. We may just hear about some kind of murder or missing person who's like, oh, hey, well, I've heard of that guy's name before. You know, maybe he was a Bilderberg guy, or you know, maybe lower than that. I don't know. It doesn't say. Weeping mountains. That's an interesting keyword in the data. Weeping mountains. What I read in this report about these weeping mountains is you're going to see mountain ranges or mountains, whatever. Didn't say exactly where, just it could be all over the world, little spots or whatever. So just pay attention when you hear the news come about some weird phenomenon that starts taking place, which, by the way, has already appeared to take place in India. But what this weeping mountains was is that water starts coming from the mountains, which sounds normal. Yeah, there's a stream and it leads to a river somewhere that comes down. Snow melts, so, standard things been happening for thousands of years, whatever. It's not talking about that. New water that comes out of the ground, basically through the mountains, and just starts flowing, which is why it's saying weeping mountains, as if the mountains are crying, because it's not coming from somewhere besides the mountain itself is producing it. And it's going to cause new streams to be formed, possibly, I think, new rivers, it may have mentioned that, to be formed. It's going to have new lakes formed out of nowhere that stay. They're not going to go away. It'll be just some new landmass type of thing, except waterways, I should say, that's gonna just appear because of this phenomenon, and it's the way it's gonna be. So nothing you can do about it. Let's see. There's going to be a new, what they're calling drifting away movement, and this was on page 15. And somebody wrote on my website also, realistnews.net, they had a thing where he was talking about the Webbot report that just came out, the same one I'm talking about now, and he says, man, page 15 struck me as kind of odd, kind of interesting. And this is page 15, drifting away phenomenon, and it goes on to talk about this isn't the old unplugging from society, I'm going to go be a survivalist, or I'm unplugging from society, I'm going to go be a hippie in the hippie movement, or some movement like that we've heard of before. We recognize it, we know what it is. We haven't really seen much of that lately, but then all of a sudden it kicks in gear. It's not that. It's going to be a whole new type of movement where people do disconnect from what's going on and decide, I'm taking me and my family out of this society, so to speak, whether they say so or not, and I'm going to start doing this other type of living where I'm more self-reliant, that sort of thing. And it struck me as quite odd that I'm reading this page after I've already left Pastor Dowell's house on the 2nd and 3rd of July, a few days ago, because I just witnessed with my own 2 eyes my whole experience, and my wife and kids' experience there, I'm sure, is exactly 100% of what page 15 was talking about, this drifting away movement. And just to sum it up, it's kind of like the Amish. One little piece of the Amish, not the religious part, not the crazy belief part. The only part of the Amish that I saw at Pastor Dowell, and I said on his video, I did a video with him, so the reason I use the word Amish is because it's the only thing in my vocabulary of my knowing that I could even relate this to. So that's the only best example I can use, and it's only a specific little part of the Amish where they live on basically the same type of land. You don't have to travel miles away to get to one another. They're basically on maybe 100 or 200 acres, or even 20 acres or 30 acres, or whatever type of land they've got in whatever community they've got. Whatever the size is, that's the community. They all eat lunch together, breakfast together, stuff like that. They go to church together. They're like a gigantic family. Real family that has to rely on each other. They build houses together, they build structures together, farmhouses together, whatever they need. They pitch in, they pool money together to do stuff and buy stuff for the community, that kind of thing. That's not a new movement. The closest thing, as I said, is the Amish, but that's a whole different ball game, a whole different thing and you have to follow these strict guidelines, and you know, it's crazy with some of the stuff the Amish do. But at the same time, this little piece I'm talking about, that's exactly what the Amish does. But forget the other 90% of what the Amish does, because that's crazy to me, and I don't, you know, it's weird. And Pastor Dowell's place isn't about that stuff either. I'm using that as an example to describe what I'm pretty sure page 15 is talking about. I just freaking saw it first time in my life, basically, because I got to experience it, see what he's doing. He explained a lot, and I'm going to explain a lot of what I saw there, experienced there, what his plans are, which there aren't really new plans. He's just continuing his plan that he's had for a while and just expanding upon it, which is fantastic to know and see live that someone's doing this and the community's doing it and they all pitch in. I'm going to be doing my own video on this when I get home. It's very difficult to do videos while I'm on this little vacation right now because everywhere I go has terrible internet speeds, and I try to upload video, it stops, you know, it's nonsense. So I'm going to do a video on my whole experience with Pastor Dowell. I did one with him at his house. We did 2 videos, and one of them I did explain what I saw and how I felt and my little experience there. But that was for his subscribers, so I'm going to do one for my subscribers, and it's probably going to be kind of the same thing. But anyways, let me continue this. Global revolution still kicking into high gear. It's going to continue to get worse. It's going to continue to spread. This country right here in America, it's not going to be immune from this. The Egypt riots will start up again. Except what we already saw, that was like a walk in the park. That was like someone scratching the flint to get a flame started. Apparently, the real Egyptian riots are yet to begin, but are fixing to begin in the near future. And if I had to guess, because the military said we're stepping in and we will see to the new elections in September or whatever of 2011. And for the most part, the people have settled down because the military stepped in and they're taking over, so that's okay. And I got an idea based off this Webbot report that the new elections are going to take place and the people are going to feel like they've been defrauded. The elections were a scam. It didn't work out. The new leader that gets elected is the same as the old leader. It's the same party, etc. Something. I'm just making this up right now to try to fill a future Webbot prediction as to what I think might happen, which, by the way, could easily be wrong by me saying that, and then something else takes place, and then it's like, oh wow, that was the real reason that Egypt just revolted right now. Ooh, I didn't know that. All right. So anyways, the Egyptian riots are the party's fixing to get started. It has not even started yet in Egypt specifically. Again, this is another reason why I say I don't think the powers that be are going to be able to pull off their plans in the time frame that they want to do it in, as well as pull it off as they had planned. And that's going to throw a monkey wrench into their plans, which is going to throw a monkey wrench into some of the other plans. People are waking up. Things are happening. They can't control everything. It's speeding up. They're not able to get a grasp on all of it, but some of it, yes, etc. And that's what's going to cause them to fall apart, in my opinion. So let's go some more here. You ain't seen nothing yet with the riots there going on. There will be a panic to own food, kind of. Not just in one specific area of the planet per se, at least not at the same time. You're going to hear about it at least. If it's in America, or if you're in America, you may be hearing about it first in other countries, and of course telling your little, you know, mind, oh well, that's not in America, that's somewhere else. I don't have nothing to worry about. Even though that country you're hearing about may never experience anything like that, or to a tiny extent. But you in your mind of, you know, America, greatest country in the face of the earth, strongest dollar, best farmland, everything right, not realizing we do import a lot of food from elsewhere. And a lot of our farmers have been kicked to the curb in the 80s, 90s, and plus. It's been going on for a long time, actually, because they cannot compete with exporters whose dollar doesn't compare to our dollar, so our own farmers can't survive. And Lindsey Williams, I know you've heard me mention him many times. When I bought his first DVD 3 or 4 years ago, whatever it was, 2007, I guess 4 years ago now, it was like a little bundle of other ones. And one of the ones he did, I think it was called Kicked from the Land or Scorned from the Land or something like that. And it's about the farmer phenomenon of the 1980s plus, where they got, you know, crapped on by the federal government and because of the dollar issue. And they kept saying, well, we'll just hold on, wait till next season, prices on corn and stuff should go back up. and it didn't, and they were living off that nest egg. It didn't work. Okay, now we're financial struggling. What's going on? What are we going to do? Well, it's been 2 years. Let's give it one more year. It's got to turn around. It always does. Not knowing it's not turning around anytime soon. There's a globalist agenda taking place. You can't compete with the cheap peon labor of other countries that are dying to send their crops to the United States, because even at 80 cents a bushel of corn or a piece of corn or whatever that you need to survive just to pay your bills, they're undercutting you 50 cents. And they're making profit in other countries because their dollar isn't as strong as ours, so they're happy to export into our country where we import it. So he has a very nice, interesting DVD. It's very educational. He's never talked about it on any of his shows, I don't think. But he did have this DVD created. It was really awakening. There will not only be a panic to own food, there will also be a panic to own precious metals. Derivatives meltdown has yet to occur. It's going to cause a lot of problems, and the problems that I've already just roughly told you about, it will impact those and make those even greater due to the derivatives meltdown. It will cause terrible economic problems all over the world. Crashing food supplies and hyperinflation, specifically food costs as far as hyperinflation goes. USA will have upheaval right here at home in our soil. People will be revolting. People will be burning remains of their homes strictly to warm themselves, in which little tents and stuff and shacks that they will make to live in, due to their houses being destroyed by some type of natural disaster, earthquake, flood, XYZ, I don't know, some type of disastrous circumstances. And due to that brutal winter I'm telling you about, if it's this year or next year, whatever one it is, then you can expect to hear about that, where people are burning the remains of their houses just to stay warm at night. A huge earthquake will be coming. It's sticking out of the Webbot reports as a huge earthquake. Not to say that's going to be the only one earthquake that's big, as we just had one the other day, yesterday I think, 7.9 or 7.8 or whatever size it ended up being. Tsunami warning and everything. I haven't really seen anything new about that, so I don't know if a tsunami did come and hit land yet, or if it was just weak or whatever. But that's a pretty sizable earthquake. Again, last year we broke records, and I went back as far in history as I could find of 7.0 or higher earthquakes. How many per year? What's the average? 14 or 15? What's the highest? Okay. Oh, 2010, we had, I think, approximately 21 of these 7.0 and higher. And by the way, I mentioned to a friend of mine, watch when a 7.1 or 7.2 quake hits, or especially a 7.0 even. It then meets that threshold and goes onto the chart of 7.0 and higher. But then all of a sudden the USGS comes out, degraded it, downgrade, 6.9, 6.8. But wait a minute, it was registered everywhere else as a 7.2, even a 7.1 over here. Now 6.9 USGS. Now it gets put into the subcategory, or the lower category of 6.0 through 6.9, which there's like 100, or I don't even know the number of those that happened. I think it's like 100 or something that happened a year. Therefore, you may not notice it. So that happened a lot last year, I noticed. I commented on some of it. And having said that, even though that happened, we still had, I think, 21 7.0s or higher, which broke all records that I could put my hands on and find. And I did search for that information, by the way. And if I'm wrong, let me know, and I'll retract that statement. But I've already done this research, and I don't believe I am. So, a huge earthquake, aside from these 7.0s and 8.0s and whatever, a huge one is going to be occurring sometime in the near future. I don't know when. Doesn't say. And it will cause bridge destruction for 1,000 miles. How do you think you're going to get that food at the grocery store through the trucking industry if bridges for 1,000 miles are destroyed or cracked or broken or whatever, and they can't drive over them? Interesting, huh? Areas in drought now, across the world basically, will become far worse. So anyone experiencing a drought, hoping that the rain gods, and they pray to the rain gods that the rain god is going to drop rain on them, don't get any stupid ideas and start sacrificing your children or goats or anything else in thankfulness or whatever to the rain god to hopefully make it rain. It's not going to rain. It's going to stay a drought. It will be severe. It'll be worse than normal. Bottom line, get the heck out of wherever you're living if you're in a severe drought and you plan on growing crops, and that's how you normally survived, like some of these third world countries and you know, tribes kind of thing. So shock is a keyword in the Webbot title, whatever. In the near future, dominated by investments / speculation and busting / bankrupt of retirement plans. Death of several known religious figures or people, whatever, related to the Vatican / Roman Catholic Church. That'll be interesting to see who dies there. At the most wicked place of all, anyways. Probably some people who were good people wanted to expose something and then got caught. We gotta kill them. Or then again, maybe not. Who knows? Doesn't really matter. Major chain store, and I think I maybe make that plural, chain stores, different ones, different ownership. In other words, not just, you know, CVS Market or not just Publix or, you know, whatever. I'm not saying, it didn't say what. Some type of chain store that, even though in one of these that collapses and goes bankrupt, will even have shown good quarterly numbers, good quarterly and yearly earnings or whatever, and then it just shocks everybody because it fails and completely goes kaput and shuts down. All the chain stores go away. That's one specific one to look for, by the way, in which I just told you the specifics about the good reports, financial, whatever, and it doesn't matter anyways. There will be a bad mouthing campaign against people who own gold and or silver, precious metals, that the media and everyone's going to jump on, and these people who have been stockpiling these gold and silver and stuff, these guys are not patriots. These guys are undemocratic. How dare they do that? Because they're undermining the United States currency system and blah, blah, blah. You're going to hear that type of nonsense is what this is saying. Doesn't matter. The prices of gold and silver are going to skyrocket, and that's going to be our argument. We knew this would skyrocket. We knew your paper money would collapse. So badmouth us all you want. That's probably part of the campaign, as I explained earlier, where they're going to try to stop you from owning precious metals. What better way than to call you unpatriotic? But wait a minute, I got an American flag outside of my front yard. I've got a sign in my front yard and on the back of my car that says support our troops. And I own gold and silver. But I'm going to be called unpatriotic if I own gold and silver. Well, I guess I better not own gold and silver. I want to be a patriot. You could do that if you want, if you're a fool. Or you could listen to people like me and buy more ASAP and hang on to it. Taxes raised pretty severely in this country, USA. Taxes will be raised. And I'll pretend I'm Obama for a minute. Read my lips. There will be no tax increases. Yeah, listen, Obama. Yellow. Yeah, listen. I got a Webbot report in my back pocket that says you're going to severely raise taxes. Not just read my lips, no taxes are going to be raised. You're going to severely raise taxes, as well as cut government services to the people, cut employment in any government office or anything else. And what's the keyword attached to that, by the way, is empty chairs. You're going to hear a lot about that potentially on the news or in a newspaper maybe when this starts taking place and they start downsizing majorly. You're going to hear about empty chairs, both at the stores and businesses closing down, as well as like city council and that kind of thing. Empty chairs because they don't have positions anymore. They all had to get fired or let go or whatever, along with federal government and that type of thing. So there will be government employee reductions for sure at all levels of government. The internet is still in the data as going down. Major cutouts of the internet, which apparently appears to be tied more so, I guess, to power outages than to really the government slamming down on the internet and trying to, you know, shut it up and stop it from people getting information. It doesn't appear to be that reason. It appears to be the electric grid going down all over the place, sporadic problems, you name it, that sort of thing. And by the way, a lot of the major data blackouts or whatever that will be caused by this or whatever it's not really scheduled until parts of 2012 and then into 2013. Another thing that's going to get cut is entitlement programs will be getting slashed. Sorry about your luck. Food stamp riots. Keyword, food stamp riots. When those programs fail, that's what you're going to basically refer to those as, and the news will probably pick up on that word, food stamp riots. How's that song go? Food stamp riots. La 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 la. A food stamp riot. Riots. La 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 la. Alright. Sorry, I had to throw that in there. I had to throw that in there. Because a lot of people on food stamps, as I mentioned in some of my videos, remember when I went down to the casino and I told you about that zoo, that zombie state of mine I saw down there that was just sickening? A lot of people swiping that old food stamp card because you don't get food stamps anymore. You get a Chase card. JP Morgan Chase, they handle that. They give you a card with, depending on where you live, could be up to $200 or more, depending on how many people in your family, that you get per month free of charge. It's just a little debit card you get. And it works anywhere a debit card works. So guess where they go? Into the casino to waste your and my tax money on that crap. What happened to the old food stamp program where you could at least go to a store and have to buy food, even though we know there were stores out there who would look around, okay, no one's looking, I'll give you 50% of the food stamps. All right, I got $20 worth of food stamps, give me 10 bucks. Okay, and then they trade it. And if those people got caught, they did do jail time. They got in trouble. But these people are allowed to take this card to the casino and it works just fine. This is crazy. So, the food stamp riots, coming to a country near you. When these programs fail, that's what you're going to see. Travel industry will be collapsing. And that's the last note I got right now. This is all stuff that's been in some of the older reports. There was stuff in here from the 2004, 2005 Alta reports, which is what the big Webbot runs were, and they would be like 100 and something pages long. That was before my time in all of this, any of this. I wasn't even awake then. But I saw some of the older Webbot reports that I was able to download and read now, even though they were created years ago. You know, well, I say now, but more like 2 years ago. So, as usual, you know, as expected, Webbot, nothing's getting better. There's still doom and gloom coming. The sinkhole phenomenon, that's another thing it said is still going to be going strong. There's actually going to be a sinkhole of such a large proportion that there will be helicopters, news helicopters, just flying around this thing and taking live video of it. It's so massive, so huge, so incredible. It'll be nothing like I guess we've ever seen before, apparently. That will be happening sometime again in the near future. Don't know when. But that's something that you will remember when you see it, and I'm sure I'll get some emails. Joe, I think there's a Webbot hit. Check this out. You know, that kind of thing. So, and by the way, all the stuff that I read you, and those of you who do read the Webbot report, if you do see something that you feel is a Webbot hit, and as I've said before, send it my way. Send me a little message. Hey, dude, do you think this is a Webbot hit? Or, hey, this is definitely a Webbot hit, you know. Because I read so much of this stuff, I study so much other stuff, I got so much going on in my head. I can't possibly retain all of this. And I'm sure there's going to be things that happen that should slap me in the face as, oh my God, that was a Webbot hit. How did I miss that? Me of all people. And then I miss it because I just can't retain all of this stuff. So that's what's nice about having people that research the same stuff I do, listen to me, I listen to some of them, whatever. We communicate, we're on websites together, we're posting stuff together. The stuff they're focused on may not be the same stuff I'm focused on, so they'll catch something that one of us or many of us didn't catch or capture and then post it online or send me a message, and then it reminds me, oh my God, yeah, that's right. Let me open up 2 Webbot reports ago and you know, a year ago, whatever, and find that particular page. Oh yeah, there it is, and then I can do a little video or something just to show you this thing is right. Maybe not when you thought it would be, maybe not when it even said this summer or this fall or whatever. Maybe it got that time frame wrong. But anyways, that's all I got. I got to go back to the hotel. Had to come down and do a video for my peoples, and I will talk to you later.